Just a quick word to the parents. This week, we'll be talking about the fifth commandment, thou shalt not kill. This opens up all sorts of rather adult topics. We will be treating these in a way that is appropriate for children, but I encourage you to listen to these episodes before you turn them on to your family, just to make sure that it is content you want them to hear. You're listening to
Catholic Sprouts,
the daily podcast for Catholic kids that strives to plant seeds of faith. Hey there, Sprouts. Today is Wednesday, July 8th, 2020. This week on the Catholic Sprouts podcast, we have been discussing the fifth commandment, thou shalt not kill. We have already talked about murder and the great Saint Maria Greti, whose life was taken from her at a very young age. Yesterday, we talked about abortion, which is the murder of babies before they are born. And today, we are going to talk about two more very controversial and difficult issues in our world that have to do with this commandment. We're going to talk about something called euthanasia. And we're also going to talk about the death penalty. Now, these are adult topics. They are topics that adults have very different opinions on, but we are going to talk about them in terms of this commandment. Also, Sprouts, if you have any questions about these things, please ask your parents. They love you and they know you. And even if they don't have the specific answer to your question, they will help you find the answer. So the first one we're going to talk about is euthanasia. Now, this is a big word, and another term for it is physician-assisted suicide. Now, suicide is when someone ends their own life, which we know to be a grave sin. Each life is a precious gift from God, and we should never throw that away. Universally, people agree that suicide is a sad and horrible thing. But some people disagree about euthanasia, because here is the situation. When a person is diagnosed with a terrible disease or has other terrible situation with their health that is simply incurable, or they're in terrible pain, some people believe that they should be able to end their life. And they even believe that there's certain doctors that should help them do this in a way that is not painful. That's why it's called physician-assisted suicide. There are even places in this world where physician-assisted suicide has been legalized. Some people think it's an act of mercy. If someone is suffering and in so much pain, shouldn't they be able to just end it and not have to suffer any longer? While we as Catholics believe that this is a grave sin. And it is not because we wish for people to suffer. This is a grave sin because we know that every life is precious. Even if someone is very, very sick, even if someone is experiencing extreme pain, their life is still precious. We should do what we can to protect it, to remind them of the great gift of life that they have been given. We don't want them to suffer. Yes, family members and doctors should do all that they can to help this person to heal them. But even when there is no hope for recovery, it is never, ever, ever okay to choose to end our own life. Now, the reason why it is never okay is because when I say there is no hope, my life has no value, I might as well just end it. We're not only saying something about our life, but we're also saying something about God. We're saying that God is not bigger than this cancer. We're saying that I have no hope in his ability to use me any longer, or to help me conquer this suffering, or for this to turn into anything good. I have no hope in God. And that is a terrible, terrible way to be, because we know God is bigger than everything. Jesus Christ conquered this world. He even conquered death. He can use anything and everything for his glory. So it is never okay, even if someone is terribly ill, to end a person's life. Never. The next thing we're going to talk about is the death penalty. You likely know that we have many laws in this country, and when you break a law, you are arrested. You go and stand in front of a judge and a jury, and they determine if you are guilty or if you are innocent. When a person is found guilty, they are given a sentence. Oftentimes, that sentence requires time in jail or prison. It can be a long time even. If it's a very serious crime, you can be in prison for a very long time. In most places in this country, the most horrible crimes, you can receive a death penalty, a death sentence, which means that the government, after a while, after it has been proven that you really are guilty, they can end your life. And they can do this in a variety of ways. Now, this is a very complicated issue, and people have some pretty differing opinions on it. In fact, even the church has said that in certain situations, the death penalty might actually be called for to protect people, to keep people safe. Of course, that's why we put people in prison. We say, you are a danger to the rest of us, so stay in prison. Hopefully you'll be healed and ready to join us later. The death penalty is saying this person is such a danger to the world that they can never rejoin us. So perhaps, even the popes have said, perhaps there is a situation where the death penalty is acceptable. But by and large, the death penalty is unacceptable. Once again, if we sentence someone to death, we are saying there is no hope for you. You can never recover. You can never become a human being safe to be around or worth being around. It is saying there is no hope for you ever. Now, this is very difficult, and there are so many situations that make each and every person that goes on trial and receives a death penalty, each situation is so different. What we need to do in both of these situations, both euthanasia and the death penalty, is we need to remember that we're talking about real people. It can be easy to just think that we're talking about numbers and not care about it so much. But we are called as Catholic Christians to remember that even if it's a criminal in jail, even if it's a person I don't know suffering from an advanced form of cancer, this is a real person. God made this person specifically. He wants to use this person to accomplish his will. Yes, maybe this person has a history of crime or otherwise, but we should always remember that this is a sacred life. This is a person, and we should never throw their lives away, ever. So today, my friends, I want you to pray specifically for someone you don't know. I want you to pray for God for one specific person that is very sick and in lots of pain and really struggling to understand why they are still alive. Pray for them that God can come to them in a special way and remind them of his power and restore their hope in him. That's it for Catholic Sprouts today. We'll be back tomorrow, but until then, continue to grow in your faith and truly sprout into the beautiful creation that God created you to be. Finally, I'd just like to thank all of our brand new Patreon supporters. You guys are incredible. We have so much support, and we are so thrilled to look to the future and to think of ways that we can grow this podcast and serve you better, all because of your support. If you would like to become a new Patreon member, we would love to have you. You get free goodies that go along with the week's content every single week. Just follow the link in this podcast episode's notes to find a way over to Patreon, to the Catholic Sprouts page, to join us and to start getting those goodies right away. Thank you.